Hello, hello. All right, all right, all right. We are live. Well, we're live, but nobody knows it yet, except for the people in the future. So I got to copy the link and I gotta go and post it. Your channel. This is just the best part of every member Q&A, isn't it? All right. We're live. Come hang out. Zoop. And I gotta put it in YouTube. And I gotta put it in the Patreon. So many steps. We're live. Publish. And I gotta put it in the Discord. Discord. Here. We're live. Come hang out. Okay. And now people should start showing up shortly. Who's first? Luke, what's up? How's it going? I'm having some string cheese. Sorry, I skipped lunch today. I'm really hungry. What's up, Steven? Or, wait. I think Chris said that you prefer to go by Justin. Or is it Steven? Or am I thinking of somebody else? You guys can hear me okay, yeah? Justin. Got it. Okay. So, yeah, how's everybody doing? I hope that that you guys don't mind this format of me just kind of logging in and kind of chatting just with you, as opposed to having like a guy in the chair, which I've been doing, right? I think I kind of prefer it. It's awesome to be with Dallin and Preston and or Knox and or frankly if I can get him like a Will or whatever. But this feels a little bit more intimate, I suppose. Like I feel like I'm reading the chat a little bit more and kind of answering questions a little bit more. There might be more pauses, which doesn't make for great content necessarily, but I don't know. Let me know if you have a preference, and I won't be offended if you prefer, something else. But yeah, if you'd rather see me sitting down with somebody and chatting with them, or if you think it works better where I'm just kind of chatting with you guys a little more directly, this is definitely easier. It's easier to coordinate and schedule, and I don't have to worry about anybody else. And then I guess I just feel like I'm talking with you a little bit more than like talking with somebody else and kind of answering questions, right? I'm pretty quiet. I can turn up my gain. I'll turn up my gain a little. See if that helps. Let's see. Checking questions. Woohoo, let's go. Both formats are great. Always enjoy a guest. Yeah, that's how audio issues start for sure. Yeah, you know what, Justin? That's a good point. And maybe since you mentioned it, I will talk about it. So let me get your guys' opinion. And hopefully, well, we don't have a lot of people in yet. I've been debating on whether or not to continue doing these monthly live streams the way that I've been doing them. So quickly, about it's been almost a year. No, it's been 6 months, something like that, since I introduced Patreon, right? I've had a lot of people that were like, I don't want to give any more money to Google, which I'm fine with. Can you do Patreon? I did. I've had a lot of people join on Patreon, which is awesome. Thank you. It's been a lot messier since doing that, frankly, and mostly just for the live Q and A's. Um, if when I just was doing it with members only, like YouTube members, I only had YouTube membership as the only option. I could go live and just make it for members, for YouTube members only. And that would notify a lot more people. And we were having like hundreds of people watch and log in live, right? 300 to 500, 300 to 600 people watching live when I was doing that. And it was awesome. And, I just felt like more people got notified for whatever reason, more engagement was great. The other nice thing about it is that I was getting some super chats, which, I'm not here to like ask you guys for more money necessarily, but sure, if people felt like they could donate, they had a question they really wanted to make sure got answered, and they'd send a super chat or whatever. It was just a nice little way for me, frankly, selfishly, transparently, to get a little boost to my monthly revenue, which is always nice and appreciated. The way it works now, by having Patreon and YouTube members, right? I have to make the video unlisted and then just link it to Patreon and to YouTube and to the Discord. And two things that are bad about doing that, I'm learning and talking with people over at YouTube about it. One, it's just not getting as much engagement. Like, not as many people are getting notified. I'm not having as many people, show up for the live, which is a bit of a bummer. It was always fun to have, a couple 300 people on at the same time as opposed to a few dozen. But also, they can't have super chats in an unlisted video. So like it has to be a different format. If it's marked as unlisted, I've gone back and forth, and really it's like you either go live to everybody or you go live to members only. And if you want super chats turned on. And so I've been thinking about maybe making the Q&As for YouTube members only. And I don't know how disruptive that would be or how upset it would make people who are Patreon patrons, right? I would hate to do that and make people feel like they're a second class supporter of the channel, but it just was working so much better when I could just go members only and go live. I've tried to see if there's a way to give YouTube patrons some sort of like membership tier that didn't cost them anything else, but that would consider them a YouTube patron. I haven't found out like an easy way to do that yet. If I can find one, then I would do that in a heartbeat and then just go that route. But let me know. Sorry, that was kind of a long bit of expose, but especially if you're a Patreon patron, how annoyed would you be if you couldn't do the live Q&As? I mean, currently we're not getting a lot of people tuning in, which is fine. It's intimate. I'm okay with that, right? But it just seemed to be better, frankly, for the health of the channel and like members in general, the old way of doing it. But yeah, again, I don't want to piss off patrons, because that sucks, right? And make them feel like, well, I guess I have to cancel this now and go sign up as a YouTube member, but I didn't want to do that or whatever. So let me know. And frankly, if you're watching, you're one of the few patrons who are. So maybe I need to put a poll on Patreon specifically or on the Discord channel, something like that. All right, let's see if I'm getting any feedback on that. Yeah, monetization, it's headaches. Running community and Patreon post of questions and then uploads a members only vid. Yeah, I could do that. I could just like I could pre-record a video and upload, but I like the interaction. I like going live, and then it's less headache, frankly, to not have to edit it and stuff like that, right? I hope that you're right, Leon, but yeah, I don't know. Patreon, I'm in it because I understand how things work. Thanks, Tiger. Yeah, someone will always be unhappy. Yeah, that's true. Or maybe, gosh, I don't know if I could like post a link to the video for patrons later after the fact, like after I go live, then change it to be unlisted, right? And then I could take that link and post it to Patreon, so at least Patreon people could watch it afterwards. They just wouldn't be able to like ask questions live. They could still post questions on the Discord. Maybe that would be a workaround. Um, yeah, I will. I'm going to. Yeah, that's true, Luke. I could always switch it back. I could try it out. I think this is what I'm gonna do next month. Spread the word, and I'll try and post this on Patreon. I think I'm gonna try to do this monthly live Q&A, make it for members only, YouTube members only, that is. And then after it's done, post the link to Patreon, so that you can still watch it. And if people get really upset about that, then I can, make a change. I'll let people know I'm planning on doing that. I'll post something on Patreon and in the Discord to give people a heads up, and maybe get some feedback on it. So watch for that and give me some feedback if you wouldn't mind. Okay. Let's see here. I gotta go. I gotta get to some questions because that took way too long. So let me look back at the questions that have come in on the Discord server first since last month. All right, here we go. Oh, I gotta scroll up because there was a bunch of. Here we go. Okay, Drac asks, have you ever been approached to consult on third-party content like Treant Monk just did, and would that interest you? That's actually a really good question, Drac, and I don't think that's ever been asked on one of these before. I've often been a little hesitant around. So my agent, who I just had a call with, actually, that's, by the way, a strange thing to say out loud. My agent. Anyways, he's been pushing me since we first started working together to like do a book, right? Like a la Drakenheim that the Dungeon Dudes have done, etc. And I've always been a little bit like hesitant to further complicate my life, frankly. I really like just being able to kind of focus on doing what I do. I like it. It gives me a nice flexible schedule and it doesn't stress me out. And so adding more things to my plate always kind of makes me go, ugh, like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if it'd be worth it. Especially when it's like full on like creating new classes and subclasses from scratch and or a new world, etc. I don't feel like that's necessarily my forte, but maybe I don't give myself enough credit and I didn't enjoy it more than I think I would. But a nice place to start would be like a soft entry there, I think. And frankly, probably a pretty decent skill set that I have and that I think Chris has as well, maybe even more so than I do, is like analysis, right? So being able to look at a thing and go, is this good? Is this bad? Is this too strong? Is this not strong enough? Et cetera, et cetera. Balance, right? And so I think that would be interesting to me. No, I've not ever been approached by anybody to do it. And so if I were, I'd consider it, but, at the risk of being a capitalist pig, yeah, I'd have to go, okay, what's the return on my investment in time and energy here, right? Because that's a precious commodity to me that I like to preserve as much as I can for my family and just doing things that I enjoy, right? So yeah, it would be something that I'd consider. It would depend on the project. It would depend on who was asking and, if we've got a relationship. I mean, like if Kelly and Monty came to me and they were like, hey, be a consultant on Drakenheim, I would probably be like, hell yeah, that would be fun, And if I can get a little piece of the pie too, cool, right? So yeah, good question. Let's see. Can asks, when do we get a server tag for the server? Oh, and then we got that taken care of, I think. Oh, also, if you have the PNGs that you use to make the silver, gold, and other tiers, yeah, I was going to do that, and I didn't get around to it, and I need to add it for Patreon patrons, too. So that's still on my to-do list. Sorry about that. Okay, scrolling. You know what? Let me check the chat a little bit. So Because I think I saw a question come in here. Let's see. Have I ever done solo D&D campaigns, and what do I think of them? You know what, Space Gardener, the only ones that I've ever done have been the ones from my sponsor, my sometimes sponsor, Obvious Mimic. And they're cool. I think they're fun. You know, nothing for me can ever replace just the fun of like getting together with friends, right? So much of D&D is playing with your friends, and like bouncing off each other and exploring someone else's world and or story, right? And or characters. So that's a big part of what I love most about D&D. So solo play has less appeal to me. I'm almost more the type of, if I want to go on an adventure by myself, I'll read a book, like a really good book, right? But there's a time and a place for it, and it can be fun to like test out characters even too, and you are kind of getting somebody else's story. So yeah, I think there's definitely some pros, especially if you just have a hankering to play and you can't get a group together or whatever. So yeah, I think there's reason for it, and I think Obvious Mimic does a good job with them. If you guys haven't checked them out, I probably have a code that would still work, I bet, to get you a discount. But I don't know what it is. I'd have to go back through an old video where Obvious Mimic was a sponsor and see. Okay, let's see. Let me look here. See, this is the downside of not having a guy in a chair, because I feel like it makes really really bad video content to just watch somebody kind of going, what are people saying? Do I have anything that I can respond to? Let's see. It's hard to make everyone happy sometimes. This is true. Oh, thanks, Jay, for the. What you may not know about me is I'm always second guessing myself. That's what got me here. My best thinking and decisions coupled with constantly second guessing myself. But I appreciate the yeah, the words of encouragement. Um, Priority to pre-submitted Patreon questions. That's a good idea, Michael. If I were to, going back to this thing of like excluding patrons from being able to log in live, right? Maybe making sure I prioritize their questions on the Q&A. Yeah, okay. Yeah, agent going Hollywood, I know. And we've been together for a couple years. It's actually the same agent that works with Kelly and Monty, Ginny, Will from D&D Shorts, Pointy Hat, Dungeon Dad, like a bunch of others. His name's Tim. He's a great guy. He's out of Canada. And yeah, he's trying to be the Nick Fury of D&D YouTuber Avengers and get us all to assemble. Okay, let me go back to Discord. Let's see here. So, Mar Brockstar Jason says, "Hey Colby, love the channel. I wanted to ask. I know Daggerheart has a very different structure than that doesn't necessarily lend itself as well to the format you've embraced, but I'm still wondering if character builds in the system might be something you plan to expand to at some point." Yeah. So this is a question that I get a lot, or variations of this, right? Anything not sort of D&D 5e, and the answer hasn't changed much, though it is starting to drift a little bit more towards Daggerheart. There is a lot of hype and hubbub around Daggerheart. I'm currently in the middle of learning the game because I'm planning on playing a couple of Daggerheart games that will be available for you to watch. In October, we're doing one with Jeremy from Insight Check. I want to say it might be a charity fundraiser. I could be wrong there. But we're definitely doing a one-shot. It's going to be, I think, me and the Dungeon Dudes and Chris, Tramp Monk, coming up later this month. And so I have to make sure I know how to play and have a character created before that happens. And then we're actually going to do at PAX U, which is in Philly at the end of November, Philadelphia. We're going to do a live actual play with the Dungeon Dudes like we did for Gen Con last month, but we're going to do it on stage, but it's going to be Drakenheim, but Daggerheart. So I think they're working on like some kind of doing Drakenheim and Daggerheart content, and yeah, we're gonna play a game online or live, that is, and I'm pretty sure it'll be available to watch at some point. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is or will be. And we're gonna play with a couple other people. I'm trying to remember now. Taylor's Taverns. I think there was one or two others, but anyways. So yeah. So long answer as always, but interested and maybe. And we'll see. I tend to favor a little bit crunchier systems, and so I'm just not sure if that would ever be something that I'd be super passionate about. But I wouldn't be surprised to see me at least at some point like try it out and see how the build video does, right? And then if it flops, then I know, and if it does really well, then I know. So we'll see. Let's see. What is my favorite homebrew rule from Tweep? Favorite homebrew rule? There's a few that I really like. Some easy, simple ones like the if you drink a healing potion as a bonus action, then you roll the dice. But if you take your full action, then you get max. I like the Perkins crit where you do full damage plus a dice roll if you crit. But I found in play, at least when I know that that's a thing and I can build a character around it, it is a little overtuned. Probably for most people at most tables, it'd be like, oh yeah, great. Now my criticals like always feel good. But then if you build like a crit fisher type that can pile on a bunch of damage when you get a critical hit, and it's a bunch of dice that are all now doing max damage plus rolls, it's like, that just like one shot stuff that maybe isn't very fun for the DM. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about that one. Other than that, like I like to see just things that are kind of quality of life, like less concern about what are my hands doing and how many sheathing and drawings have I done this round and can I do it. That stuff always just to me makes the game slow down and feel clunky. So getting rid of that kind of stuff is awesome. And then I'm just going to homebrew something on the spot that I wish more of my DMs would allow, which would be some sort of like you can use your reaction to maybe do like a buff spell or rage or something like that, or grow big if you're, a Goliath, etc. After when you roll initiative, if you're willing to give up your reaction in round one, that I would love to see more of. Just more things that allow you to do what, now the Vengeance Paladin and Devotion Paladin can do with their channel divinities, right? Which is like when you make an attack, you just have this buff. I always get frustrated when, you got to spend all this time and energy and resources in the beginning, like buffing yourself up. And I get it. There are balanced reasons for that. But at the same time, there are plenty of things in the game that just kind of more and more let you just sort of do stuff when you do other stuff. And I like those things a lot because I'm all about efficiency. Okay, let me get back over to the chat. Let's see. Book of Bosses, Leon says. Yeah, I've talked about this more than once, where I've been in chats with my agent and this other company that I'm working with about doing a book of my builds, right? Putting Randall's artwork in there probably, and then like character builds and calling it either Book of Bosses or just whatever, like my favorite builds or something, etc. And I think we're getting closer to actually taking some steps in that direction. We were thinking maybe to try and rush something out for Christmas, but that's probably not enough time to do it. It looks like the way that I'm leaning at this point is to doing something more akin to like the old D&D modules. They're sort of like paperback, right? And not very thick, so maybe 30, 40 pages, and just doing kind of like 10 or 15 builds like at a time, but they're super inexpensive that way, both to produce and to buy. And at least it would let us kind of test the concept, right? And it would be like art, and then maybe just a little bit of dialogue around like the build idea and why, maybe just pulling stuff from like my preambles and final thoughts, essentially, right, for each build, and then putting the build very similar to how you see it in my build write-ups, right, that I do for you guys, and then just putting those in a book, and maybe we come out with, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, etc., and they're not very expensive. Sorry, maybe if they sell well, binding them all together in like a bigger compendium kind of thing. So yeah, we'll see. I like that idea because it feels like a low barrier to entry, and again, right now, like hurdles are very they impede me more than they probably should, because I kind of go, no, I don't want to complicate my life. But if it's something that I can kind of, I've already got the scripts, I've already got the write-ups, I can kind of get these to an editor. Randall's already created the art, right? We can kind of just put these together, make it look nice, do them in kind of mini volumes that are fairly inexpensive. Something like that might work. So yeah. Let me try and catch up here to the chat so that I can feel like I'm up to date on the things you guys are saying. Oh, is it possible to stream in more than one place? I don't know. I've looked at, I know I can go live in Patreon, but I don't think I can do that and go live in YouTube at the same time. Maybe something I could look into. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Justin says Obvious Mimic is awesome. Thanks for introducing them to me. Yeah, you're welcome. They are great. And they make great t-shirts, too. Oh, speaking of t-shirts and talking about my agent and conversations, we also have been talking about new products that we're going to be adding, new tees, probably hoodies, maybe mugs, for more merch. And maybe I'll share with you guys, consider this an exclusive sneak peek. I'm actually really excited. They've got some great designers over at Crown, the company that we work with, that kind of helps me design the merch and t-shirt designs and stuff. So we're thinking about potentially 3. One is going to be like my face, but in Bob Ross, so with an afro, and I'm going to be painting, but probably it's probably going to be a character sheet that I'm painting on. And maybe I'm saying like happy little D4s, or happy little fighter dips, or happy little familiars, or something like that. And that'll be fun and funny, I think. And then we're probably going to do one that just says, it's just going to be simple, and it'll just say, all of my wizards are level 1 fighters. I've had some other ideas around that, about like having like a condiment that's like fighter, and you're dipping into it. You're like a wizard and you're dipping into the fighter, hummus or something like that. But I think the text is a little punchier, and just, I don't know. I think it works. I think it'll be funny. We'll see. And then the one that I'm most excited about actually is probably going to incorporate either like the welcome home, or this is where you belong, or maybe both, on a tee, and probably a hoodie, and maybe even a cozy little mug. And they're going to put like sort of other D&D imagery around it. So I don't know, dice and, weapons maybe, or whatever, spell components. Just to kind of give the idea, and probably my logo, right? Just to kind of give the idea, not only like welcome home, this is where you belong here at D4, but like that's kind of an aesthetic or a vibe, I think, for D&D in general right now, which I really love. Is it's a little bit like, hey, we're all a bunch of misfits here, right? Like, this is where you belong, welcome home kind of thing. In playing tabletop games with your friends, kind of thing. So I think that'll be really cool, and it's the one I'm most excited to see the design that they come up with. So stay tuned for more on that. We'll hopefully have them available, by Christmas is my hope, my goal, but we'll see. Um, okay. Obvious mimic. Second guessing. What's your workout routine and nutrition plan? Space Gardener asks. Yeah, it changes. I kind of tend to go through a period of like where I'm going a little hard and heavy at the gym for a few months, and then I'll maybe take it a little easier for a few months. Honestly, that has more to do with like seasonality than anything. In the fall, I like to take it easy because I like to get out into the mountains, which I'm looking out my window right now at all of the amazing, beautiful fall colors. Um, so yeah, so it's like I don't want to like I want more of my workouts to be hiking and biking, because I just want to be outside enjoying the weather. And same with the spring, I kind of get that way too. But then in the winter and the summer, oftentimes when it's not as easy or pleasant to be outside, then I've often used an app called Transform, that you can get on the app store of whatever device. And it's good. It gives you like, it kind of pre-programs a workout for you based on your age, your weight, your goals, where you're working out, etc. And that's been really good. It's tough. It's a butt kicker. It's a good 60 to 90 minute workout 6 times a week. And they give you like macro, plans that I don't adhere to very strictly, frankly. I try and get my steps in. I track that. I do try and do 10,000 steps a day and eat moderately healthy, I suppose. I don't worry about it too much, which works for me. If I try and get too strict with my diet, then I just feel like I don't do very well sticking to anything. So, I try and be conscious about getting a little more protein, cutting a little more carbs. And that seems to work for me thus far. We'll see if that continues as I get older. But yeah, let's see. What else do we got here? Wiley Knight, Team Louie asks. Yep, that's him, Tim. Let's see if any. Oh, this just skipped something. Hold on. I was scrolling and then it just like skipped to the end. Let's see if any long-term stories of any advice. Can't figure out how to get a Discord channel. Chris asks. You know what, Chris? The Discord thing should be automatic. And I can't give a lot of advice other than that. Yeah, you're saying it's linked accounts. I wish I could be better tech support. I don't know if you've already reached out to like Discord customer service. I wouldn't know what to tell you if anybody else has any advice for Chris. Sorry, that sucks. And maybe there's a way I could manually add you, but if so, I'm unfamiliar with it. I could try and look into that. Oh, it looks like he's gotten some people going back and forth, Luke, etc. Thanks. Yeah, Roland, that Gen Con game was fun, and it was so fun to be up on stage with everybody and meeting people. You know what? That is going to be a question that comes up. Well, I'll get to that in a second because that was about to be a segue, but I don't want to get out of order. So let me go back to the Discord here. Are you into 3D printing minis? If not, do you think you will ever get into it? Zenvo asks. I have painted a handful of minis that I keep on my desk or my little windowsill right here. This was Anders, my Oath of the Crown paladin, who was also an ASMR back when you had to choose, right? If they were like what kind of ASMR they were, and he was the one that went bad, whatever those were called, necrotic, shroud, whatever. I don't remember. Anyways, he would change form into this guy. So I had him like, I don't know if that's even focused, but anyways, I enjoyed painting them. I feel like I did a pretty good job. It was a lot of work. But then, what are they called? Uh, oh geez, I'm so bad at thinking and talking at the same time, you guys. What's the 3D printing company that everybody uses for their little 3D models? Uh, you know who I'm talking about, and somebody's probably commenting right now. Um, Hero Forge. Thank you. Yeah, Hero Forge. So as soon as they started doing colored minis, I started ordering colored minis because it's just so much easier, and the colors are not as vibrant. They're a little more muted, but they do a good enough job, and the detail is pretty decent. This was Ceradon, my mini for my character that was in the Tales of Veneria campaign that we did for a long time. She was awesome. Um, Printing, I do not have a 3D printer, and I don't think I'm really interested in getting into it. That's again, it's one of those things. I am a Thoreauvian at heart. Simplify, simplify. I'm always looking for ways to make my life simpler and easier rather than more complicated. And even though I know it's fun and it's a hobby, people get into it. I don't know that it's for me. I'm not enough of an artist, I think, to really appreciate getting into 3D printing myself. So, um, Daggerheart, Mark Yaz seconding the Daggerheart, and yeah, making. I now make the rules because I understand them. Haha, optional. Oh, gym routine. Oh, Zenbo. Same question from the same person, right? Okay, there you go. Are there any, okay, Mr. Positive, are there any 2014 builds that don't work in 2024 that you really wish you'd gotten a chance to play? Oh, that's a good question, and it would require me to think a lot about all of my favorite old builds and which would or wouldn't work and why. The Off the top of my head, the first one that comes to mind is the Needler. Um, I did play in a one shot with that character, but I wasn't playing them. My friend Scott was, and it worked really well. And I was like, "Holy crap, that build's awesome!" um, it was just fun and unique, right? Most of you probably know throwing out a net and throwing darts, but the net is totally different now. You wouldn't be able to quick toss it. You could still do a version of it, and I do have on my to-do list like updated version, Needler 2.0 or whatever. And I'll get to it eventually, and maybe I'll find that it works almost as well or just as well, or who knows better. I doubt it. But yeah, that would be a really fun one that definitely would not work the same or nearly as well. So yeah, I'll say that one. And there's probably lots of others if I could think of them. I mean, anything that was like using action surge to cast two leveled spells in a turn, right? So your classic what was that evocation wizard blaster. I don't remember what the official name of it was. Um, but that would have been a lot of fun, especially I think I coupled that with Tempest Cleric. Did I? And you were throwing out like max damage, lightning balls and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna miss those burst damage builds, especially having an assassin that could literally do like 1,000 damage on the opening round, right? At higher levels, if you auto crit, stuff like that, that you just really can't. You can't burst like you used to be able to. There's a Ceradon, perfect example, right? She was a Pally Warlock sorcerer. The build was based on my Lockett Bard build. It was an old one, if you want to look it up. But I replaced the Bard with sorcerer level, or yeah, I replaced the Bard with sorcerer levels later. Anyways, um, yeah, she was capable of putting down some insane burst because coupling, Eldritch Smite with Divine Smite on multiple attacks on a turn. I mean, it was crazy and fun. But I'm glad I had a chance to do that. Peter asks, do you think at some point you may attempt different format videos? For example, the one you're cooking right now, comparing marshals and caster seems a little different than the regular build, 1 to 17. Yes and no, Peter. I do. I think a lot about changing up the format. Um, but I tend to be conservative, not so much in my politics, but fiscally, and um, uh, like when something's don't when something's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. Because yeah, like I really enjoy what I do, and and it's working well so far. Sure, would I like to see more growth? Try some shorter videos and see if that draws in new viewers, things like that. Potentially, yeah, I've thought about it. Or doing, more broadly applicable videos that are more kind of like advice on, whatever, how to play the game, how to DM, et cetera, which you see, frankly, a lot of my, my friends do, from Chris to Kelly and Monty to Will to Ginny. I mean, I feel like most people who are on YouTube creating content for TTRPGs are a little more generalists than I tend to be. Even if they're optimizers, they're still not just doing like character build video, right? So I've thought about that, but I don't know. I kind of feel like this is what I love, and I'm pretty good at it, I think. And I've got a great audience. And so if growth is just kind of slow and steady, or worse in 2025 than it was in 2024, I'm kind of okay with that for the most part. That said, yes, the video that is coming out a week from today, right? That is a full barbarian and a full sorcerer. So it's two characters, and they don't I can't multi-class, and I can't use anything but 2024 content. Was so interesting to me, without any spoilers. Sorry. And I feel like I learned a lot, and the numbers ended up being in line with what I thought they would be, but the disparity was smaller, that it kind of made me go, gosh, you know what? I feel like WotC did a better job of balancing 2024 than maybe I and a lot of us give them credit for. And if you don't use older content and you don't multi-class, I think the classes are better balanced than I thought previously. And as a result, it made me want to start to just start a series of videos that are straight class. Sorry, I don't straight class. That's a loaded word in our lexicon today, isn't it? Single class builds that use 2024 content only for each class. And so I started that today. That's what I'm working on for my next video that I record later this week. I'm going to do a cleric, and I'm just going to go through all of them and kind of try and just do like maybe more akin to what Chris has been doing lately with his like practical builds or whatever, right? This is a little bit like, I still have an eye on damage, but priority number one is like a quintessential cleric, right? Like I want this to be as good a cleric as I can be, with a high wisdom score, who's capable of, heals and all that kind of stuff, right? And almost prioritizing damage second. So like working within the bounds of, okay, this is just a single class cleric build that I want first and foremost to be a good cleric and be good at the things that the clerics are good at. Now, where can we get the damage to within those parameters? And what does that look like, right? And do one for every class I think I'm going to do, because it feels really interesting to me and compelling right now. And then at the end of all of that, maybe do my first ever like tier ranking video, where I just kind of tier rank the classes of 5.5 based on these builds that I've done, right? So it's going to be pretty limited in scope. But and so looking at more than just damage, right? Damage is a component of it, but like a little bit more holistic. So what else are they good at, and how effective are these guys going to be when you consider what they can bring utility wise, support wise, control, and damage and survivability, etc. I think that will be a fun project and interesting to me, that I think is going to occupy me for the next probably several months, unless the videos do really poorly and nobody watches them. Then I might have to pivot. So yeah, that's not really what you asked, but maybe a little sneak peek into what's coming. Okay, let me get back to the chat. So let's see. You think a good effective ranged ranger is possible in 5.24? Yeah. Can I build one before 2028? Chris asks, let's see. So I did the Beastmaster, right? And that was a ranged character. And their damage wasn't amazing, but it was okay. It was decent. So I guess it kind of depends on what you mean by good. Because in general, yeah, like ranged damage is just hitting not as hard as it used to, with some exceptions, right? We did that the Eldritch bow, whatever, the the warlock bow user. I'm so good with names. And that surprised me in how much damage it was putting out. And I've done some thrown weapon builds that seem to be keeping up. But yeah, like one of the things that made the ranged warlock so good, right, is they get that third attack at level 12, so their scaling doesn't go down. They get access to better spells like Spirit Shroud that are gonna, increase their damage per hit. Whereas the ranger is really kind of stuck, just with their 2 attacks and their pet or whatever else they might want to try and do with the Beastmaster, with their bonus action. So, definitely still on my to-do list, and I'll always be looking at options. But yeah, generally, I think ranged weapon users struggle a little bit more than they used to, thanks to the change to sharpshooter and crossbow expert. But there's still options out there, and I dabble in ranged weapon users from time to time. But yeah, rangers in general, as you guys know, are struggling a little bit without a little homebrew love, I think. So it can be tough, but not impossible. And I'm sure there's builds out there that I haven't even really thought of. Hey, Wolfpack, I'm glad that you're here. Let's see. The Book of Humanoids, Justin says, for my book idea. That's a good idea. Okay, so Louis says you can go live on YouTube and Patreon at the same time using OBS. I use OBS, so I'll have to try and figure that out. If anybody's got a good guide that they can post that will walk me through, like, essentially going live just using a single platform, right? Using a single software, OBS, and streaming it to essentially 2 places at the same time, both YouTube and Patreon, then that would be a potential solution. Okay, now we're getting into some responses to, I'm way behind here. Bob Ross plus Colby. Silvery Barbs Mob. Yep, that's on there. There's a t-shirt for Silvery Barbs Mob already on my site. That's a good one. Welcome home. This is where you belong. Yeah. Front and back for each part of the expression. That's not a bad idea. It would increase the cost, but having like welcome home, this is where you belong on the back maybe, or vice versa, that could be cool and maybe easier to work into. It's just multiple designs at that point, and more printing costs, etc. Chats. Every time somebody makes a new chat, it like automatically jumps me to the bottom. There's probably a setting that I could fix to prevent that from happening. Let's see. Comments. Fall in Utah is gorgeous. Like, okay. I'll just show you a picture really quick because, I mean, just yesterday I was up in, Big Cottonwood Canyon, it's called, going over Guardsman's Pass. Well, you're not going to really be able to see, but I'm telling you, hopefully that's not reflecting too bad. Like, the aspen trees right now are insane, and they're not just golden yellow, they're like orange and red even too, and it's all over the place. It's amazing. I love it. A blended party of 5 and 5.24 builds would cause many balance issues. 5.24 has specifically wrecked my high AC, medium armor, master armor, magic, sneak thief build. I have a hard time imagining doing both 5e and 5.5 or 5.24e builds at the same table. That would be a nightmare, I think, for the DM, if nothing else, right? To try and go, okay, are you like, which grappling rules are you using, and which you have great weapon master and you have great weapon master, but you want the -5 to hit and +10 to damage, and you just want the added proficiency bonus. Like, I don't know if balance per se would be as big a problem as just a logistical headache, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone else who has more experience DMing than I do would think it's a breeze. Let's see. Do you think the blended party? Oh, you are. That's the one I just asked. 60 minutes, 60, 90 minutes, 6 times a week is impressive. Oh, no, I'll tell you what, Chris. Getting back to the workout thing, like, honestly, the number one thing that's, if I'm in shape, it's because I've been going to the gym 3 to 5 times a week for the better part of 30 years. And like, honestly, consistency trumps everything, right? Like, and I think studies even will back that up, right? Like, just going and like doing like strength training and, and trying out new things and pushing yourself, mixing it up, muscle confusion, all that kind of stuff, getting more protein in your diet. Yes. But like, above all, consistency, right? You just go all the time. And that's like the number one thing that is going to help people get in shape. And like, it kind of sucks because you sort of wish, well, like, I want to lose 30 pounds and put on, 15 pounds of muscle like right now. And there's not I mean, you can if you get really extreme, right? But that's just not my style, I suppose. So yeah, got lucky there. Hi, Tej. Let's see. In your estimation, if the help, Team Louis, if the help action is used for a spell, say Eldritch Blast, by a familiar, would the familiar have to be near the person casting the spell or the target? If the help action is used for a spell, Eldritch Blast, how are you using your help action to cast a spell? Would the familiar have to be near the person? Oh, I see. Sorry. The familiar is helping against an Eldritch Blast. Yeah, if it's an attack, it's an attack, right? And it's the same. Rules as written, the familiar is supposed to be like distracting the target, right? So like the owl's flying in the face of the enemy that you're attacking. So in that case, yes. And I would say that that's how it's supposed to be. They're not like whispering words of encouragement in your ear or anything, though I like that too. You got this, man. You can hit him. Right. So, and maybe getting back to my favorite homebrew rule, maybe that's it, right? That familiars can just decide who they're going to help, and they just help them. And then the first attack that character makes against their target, right? It might be a little wonky doing that, but like, I just envision it as like, yeah, the familiars flying in their face when you want them to, right? They just kind of go when you go, I guess. That's how most tables that I've played at have ruled it. And, I don't know, maybe your guys' experience is different, but anyways, yeah, I think they need to be next to the target is the short answer. All right, let me get back to Discord here. You guys have got a lot of questions today. Whew, I like it. Okay, let's see. To form a videos of this. How disappointed are you in the UA of the Tattoo Monk? Zenvo, I have a confession. And it's that I have not even looked at the new UA for the Tattooed Monk. The first iteration of it sucked. And I know that people are saying that it still sucks. I don't know if it's better or worse. My plan has been to watch Treant Monk's videos because I just didn't get time right this week, the last couple of weeks, to dive into it and try and put out a video of my own. So yeah, I'm going to be disappointed if it sucks as bad as everybody says, and that's probably all that I can really say about it. I'm planning on watching Treant Monk's videos on them. I just have not got around to it yet. Ducky asks, if I could revise or adjust a single spell from the 2024 Player's Handbook to something new, which spell would you choose and what would you change? All right, I've been thinking about this today, actually. I want to see a spell that... Okay, this is a longer meta discussion. What time is it? Oh, we've almost been going an hour already. I get a little tired of, like, the best way to do damage in D&D 5e is find a way to add damage to your attacks and then make as many attacks as possible, right? Those who've been watching my channel for a long time know, like, this is the formula, right? And generally speaking, and the reason I'm thinking about it right now is because I'm making a cleric who's trying to be good at dealing damage, and no cleric subclass gets extra attack, right? And so it's like, on the one hand, I wish that WotC would give one cleric subclass extra attack so that I could feel a little more gishy as a cleric. On the other hand, actually, you know what? No. Like, let's get some variety in our builds and in our build styles, right? And in the ways that we can do damage, and make it so that, like, we get a spell like a Conjure Minor Elementals that, you know, will add damage to every attack, but that only works on, like, one attack per round. There are lots of things that only add damage to one attack per round. Sneak attack, the Hunter's Colossus Slayer or whatever, right? A million things. Once on a round, the first time you hit, you do a d6 of damage, a d8 of damage, whatever. But without exception, I think none of them scale well. They're all just, like, piddly scaling. You could argue that the rogue sneak attack might be the exception to that, but without extra attack, it's still not enough. And I want to see more, just like, okay, you know what? Here's a spell, like keep Conjure Minor Elementals the way that it was on release, that it's going up 2d8 per spell level that you upcast it, and maybe make it a lower level spell, make it a third level spell. It's more accessible to more classes, something, I don't know. But that scales bigly, but that only works once. And now, like, at least there's some variety, right? Okay, am I doing somebody who makes a lot of attacks per round and I'm finding ways to add damage to every single attack? Or am I okay just with a single attack, but it's a kaboom, right? And man, that is interesting to me because if nothing else, it's different. Balance is a little tough. And yeah, you get into issues where it's like, well, it's still better with extra attack. You just do one big kaboom, and then you still get other attacks that are still doing damage. So you're still better off than the War Cleric was, for example, right? But I would argue that, well, not necessarily, because if you're concentrating on that spell, maybe you're concentrating on Spirit Shroud instead. That doesn't scale as much. It doesn't add as much damage, but it adds damage to all of your attacks. So, you know, finding a way to balance that, to me, would be cool and interesting. There's probably way more interesting spells out there that do cool, weird, universe-altering stuff, but me being me, yeah, I think about damage a lot. So, okay. Oof. I'm not going to get through all of this. I mean, really, I should be ending, but let me just get one more, and I'm going to pull it from the chat. Let me just make sure that I'm kind of caught up here as best I can. And then the Discord questions I'll have to save till next time. So sorry I didn't get to everybody. Tweep. I just joined Where Evil Lives, Tomb of the Keeper campaign. We're at level 11. What should I play? Oh, I don't know. That's a terrible question to end on. If it's me, whenever I'm doing a one-shot anyways, I know what level it is. I go to my own graphs, charts, and I look at, okay, for this level, like which character is doing the most damage, or at least what are the five or whatever, right? And then of those, like which one feels the most interesting to me to play, which one works really well as written and doesn't require a lot of setup, etc. Based on, do I know how many combat encounters I'm going to be having a day? In this one shot, there's probably 2 or 3. Okay, well, that character doesn't work as this one. And that's kind of where I start personally, but that's me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Tweep, but I mean, if you're playing, where evil lives, my hunch is to say cleric or paladin. Um, Maybe cleric especially, and turn some undead and do lots of radiant damage. But pallies have lots of fun stuff that they could take advantage of in a setting like that too. Go with the okay, fine. I am going to make a recommendation. Go with the what was it called? The Holy Blade? No, 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 not the Holy Blade. Although that one actually might be really cool too. But I would go with the Devotion Pally, the Knight of Whispers. There you go. There's my recommendation. As long as you're okay with a Warlock dip, I think that would be fun. That or something like that might be the next character that I play in a longer campaign, if and when I ever start a longer campaign. Okay. I'm going to... Oh, you guys were giving him some feedback. Nice. I love it when the chat is interacting. So yeah, there's some good recommendations in there. Oh man, that was like, and it turned into a whole conversation. Any other questions in the chat? Maybe I'll see if I can answer one last one. No. Okay. Well then, I feel like I did a pretty okay job there. So, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, for your support. You're the best. And give me some feedback. Feel free in the Discord or in the chat of the actual video afterwards, on whatever we talked about, on my ideas about, doing it this way or doing it with like a guy in the chair. I like this because I feel like I'm just a little more interactive with you guys, which is kind of the point of doing this in the first place, right? And it's easier to schedule too for me. But yeah, and then on the Patreon thing, if you're a Patreon patron, and you joined late and missed the conversation that I was having at the beginning, go back and watch the first few minutes of this if you wouldn't mind. And leave me some feedback on your thoughts on, like, if I had to exclude Patreon patrons from the live Q&A but could at least get you the link afterwards and you could still ask questions, how miffed would you be? Because I think it would just be better, unless I can find a way to stream both to Patreon and to YouTube at the same time. Which apparently there's a way to do it. So I'll have to look into that. Okay. Thanks. You guys are awesome. Love you. Enjoy the fall. It's September 30th. Tomorrow is the best month of the year. October. I love October. So yeah. Okay. Have a great day. Happy Tuesday. Bye.